Hello everyone, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, and for some of you this might be deja vu. I had done this video for Ellen Hutson a couple months ago actually, and never got around to uploading it to my channel, and then this weekend when I went to do so, the original voiceover was corrupted. Don't ask me, I'm so horrible with tech some days. So I'm redoing the voiceover, thankfully still had the footage. I used the Essential by Ellen's Leading Ladies Photo Lady stamp set for my card, and I have a piece of Neenah Classic Crest 80-pound solar white cardstock here, and I just arranged it in my MISTI, and then I took every single image from the set and lined them all up, just trying to make sure that they were spaced far enough apart so that I can use the coordinating dies to die cut everything. And then I'm inking everything up with my Hero Arts Intense Black ink, which is a Copic or alcohol marker friendly ink. So inking it up with that and then closing the lid of my MISTI so I can stamp all of these images at once and end up like inking them out twice to make sure I just get a really good black crisp line on everything. And then once I've got everything stamped, I'm going to go in with a ton of Copic markers and color all these in. I said in my original voiceover, I had a really hard time. I wanted to originally keep her shirt more simple. I was thinking like maybe some blue stripes or whatever, but you see, or at least I see stripes and I start thinking rainbow. So I ended up pulling out a ton of colors and doing her shirt in rainbow colors because it was just too fun. But I started with her skin, keeping everything. That's just what I gravitate towards first. Is I always want to finish off the skin and the hair first of an image. It just kind of helps pull everything together a little bit easier for me anyway. So I did her skin first and then I did her hair, and I just have the colors listed here on the screen. When I color with Copic markers, I tend to go darkest to lightest because for me it's just a lazy way to do it. It's less time and less effort blending. However, if you want more control over your coloring and your blending, I recommend starting lightest to darkest, which is what most people do. It helps a lot in putting colors where they need to be and helps not to overcolor, and overdarken images, especially if you want lighter areas. But again, I'm a little bit lazy and I usually don't have time, so I just do darkest to lightest. So I used combinations of grays to do her pants, and all the cameras I just kept the same color. And then for her camera bag and the strap for the camera and for her shoes, I'm using combinations of red. And then I'm also using that for the stripes on her shirt. And I was counting down from the top, like, to make sure I kind of lined up the proper stripes with the sleeves, like from the base shirt to the sleeves, just to kind of make everything go together. But again, you can kind of do whatever you want. But same thing, working darkest to lightest and just kind of blending those really well together. And then this is where I started pulling out all the colors and doing the rainbow order. So of course I'm doing, reds, then orange, then I'm going to do yellow, adding the darkest, blending it to the lightest. Even though I used a ton of colors, like a ton, this didn't take too long. It was more just pushing aside the pile of markers I had on my desk. So as I was doing her shirt, I started grabbing I wasn't even really thinking, but it was kind of just a natural thought process for me to fill in the screens of these images. Like there's little phone images and stuff in the set. And I was kind of inspired by the bokeh background that's on my phone. It's just like that standard one that comes on iPhones. I've never bothered to really change it because I just think it's pretty. But that's kind of what was going in the back of my head as I was coloring this. So I just kind of started like dabbing in the purples and the blues and stuff into these screens, just to kind of mimic that, but not without a whole lot of effort because it's very, very simple and they're tiny, so you're not going to really see much. But the funny thing is those screens kind of inspired the rest of the card. My original plan was to keep this card fairly clean and simple, a lot of white space, because I had so much color going on this image, and in the end, I didn't do that. So after I was done all of that coloring, I took my Uni-ball white gel pen and added highlights. That always just really finishes everything off. And then I also decided to add polka dots to her camera bag because I thought that would be awesome to have a red camera bag with white polka dots. I think that'd be so much fun. And then going along everything, adding highlights, it just makes everything, pop and finishes it off. Plus again, lazy me, that's the easiest way to do it rather than trying to leave, areas when you're coloring, leave them white. It's like, I can just color them and then add the highlights in later with the white gel pen. So I already posted my previous little quick tip video showing this in detail, how I ran these through my little Xyron Creative Station Lite. I had all the coordinating dyes and everything, so I explained that more in depth in that little like 2-minute video. So I'll have that linked at the end of this one. But yeah, I ran everything through that. So all these images are now die cut, and they also have the adhesive backing to them, making them stickers. So now I'm going to go on to the actual, card front itself. So this time I have some Bristol smooth cardstock and several Distress Oxide ink colors. And like I'd said, I was inspired by the like fun little backgrounds I'd created on the digital devices that I'd color with my Copic markers. So I used similar colors of the Distress Oxides and blended them onto this background. And I didn't do super fabulous blending. You can still kind of see the blending, it's not super smooth. I didn't worry about it because I'm planning on one, splattering it with water because that's just what you do, and 2, I'm gonna have like adhere all these images over it so you're not really gonna see it. So I just blended it till I was happy with it, and just had that, those darker and lighter areas. I was okay with that just because of the nature of the type of background I was creating. So after I had done that, all I did to create my splatter was pull out the nozzle of my Distress sprayer, and I was tapping it against my fingers. And I did it heavily, so you can see all that fabulous splatter. Let it sit for 30 seconds roughly, and then picked up with a paper towel, and then I was left with that really fun background. And then after it was dry, I ran it through my die cut machine with one of the My Favorite Things A2 stitched rectangle stack set 2 that I never put away because I use it on everything. And after I had done that, I came across this Precious Polaroids wafer die set, again from My Favorite Things, which was perfect for these images. So I die cut a piece of Bristol Smooth with one of the Polaroids, and the center piece I sponged with those same inks, did the same splatter, so it just kind of coordinated with everything. And then I stamped one of the sentiments from that Leading Ladies stamp set onto that background. And then same thing, I ran those through my Xyron Creative Station to coat those with the adhesive. I just use my bone folder around things like this. If I'm not die cutting and I'm just literally applying adhesive to the back of something, I use my bone folder or just any, small tool to run against the edges of that, so you don't have that little bit of sticky on the edges that can happen sometimes. So one other thing I did is I ended up fussy cutting out this one little phone image just to remove that little white surrounding of it from die cutting it, because I wanted to have it so that she was holding it. So originally I was just going to stick it over her hand, but then I was like, no, I need to go that little extra step. So I took my craft knife here and I just carefully went around her hand, which is pretty simple because her hand is drawn, very simple lines. It's not like a bunch of fingers and fiddly cutting I have to do. So I just gently went around just the very edge of her hand here so that I could lift that up and then slip the phone under it so it actually looks like she's holding it. It just kind of gave it that little, extra finishing touch, so it doesn't look like the phone is just, floating in front of her. So was able to lift that up, and because everything has adhesive on it, it just stays in place. So once I had her phone in her hand, I peeled off the backing from everything, and then I'm going to get that camera strap around her neck. Same thing, everything's coated with adhesive, so then I can just press this into place onto my background. So I'm going to start adhering all of the different pieces. So I've got my little Polaroid here that's going to hold my sentiment. So I'm going to adhere that into place, and then I'm going to press down the center of that has the sentiment. And then I ended up taking my, I think this is BV23 that I was using for shadow and whatnot. And I went around the Polaroid, and I also went along the bottom there so it doesn't look like she's just floating in space, floating in the galaxy, whatever. Added that for a little bit of shading just to kind of ground everything. And then for the inside of my card, I stamped another sentiment from the set. And then I adhered a couple more little camera images from the set, one of which a lot of people pointed out I adhered basically upside down. I wasn't sure what this was, but I think this is like very similar to like the little STAX cameras that everyone's obsessed with. So at the time I was like, I don't know, I just stuck it on. So I adhered the card front with some foam tape. And then as a final bit of embellishment, I grabbed my Tonic Nuvo in ebony black and stuck some of those, or pressed some of those onto my card front. And this was a trick I had learned from Julie before I did this video, is you can tap these to smooth them out, but if you tap the card really hard, they'll flatten out even more and they end up looking like enamel dots. So if you only tap lightly, it can smooth them out a bit if you're having troubles. more often than not, I just leave them, and I like the, you know, the really dome shape you get. Or if you give the card a good slam, still be careful doing it, you can flatten these out a lot and then you get that fun enamel dot look. So that finished off my card for today. I will have a link to the video I did explaining how, you know, I made those into stickers, as well as a link to other videos at the end here. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon in another video. Bye.